in East Point, Georgia, a devoted wife and loving mother with a promising future finds herself in a relationship she did not sign up for, marked by deceit, infidelity, and distrust. Can love conquer all? What happens when love becomes fatal? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with Fame's Fatality.
November 23rd, 2014, East Point, Georgia. It's a quiet Sunday morning in this former country town, which has blossomed into an up-and-coming suburb on the outskirts of Metro Atlanta.
East Point has grown a lot, but it's also a very close-knit community as well.
East Point's like any other city on the outskirts of a big city. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes ugly.
You can live very well in East Point for a relatively small amount of money. I know down the street there might be problems, but I'm willing to deal with that because of what I can build for my family.
However, when violent crime strikes, it still comes as a shock.
So at 6:15 Sunday morning, East Point police get an urgent call.
911, what's your emergency?
It's my wife.
The caller says his name is Andre Pugh.
He tells police his house has been broken into and his wife, Tiffany, has been shot.
I just found her laying in the bed.
Is she still breathing?
No. Please, send someone now.
Okay, sir, we have someone en route.
Minutes later, as police pull into the neighborhood, Andre is waiting outside with the couple's 2 young children.
He is waving frantically for police to stop.
She's in the bedroom, the master bedroom.
He's saying my wife's shot.
Police rush into the house.
Tiffany was found in a bedroom on the first floor of the house.
She was dead from multiple gunshot wounds.
You have a young mother of 2 brutally murdered in her own home.
How could this be?
As a young woman in Rochester, New York, everyone knew Tiffany Jackson was going places.
Tiffany was very quiet, came across very smart, very thoughtful. She was bright, she was dialed in, she was focused.
But she was also a great listener, all-around great person. It's just one of those individuals that's very rare to come by.
Always a devoted student, Tiffany's hard work in school set her up for a bright future.
She set a goal for herself to attend a historically Black college, and that's something she achieved right out of high school.
Tiffany Jackson moved to Atlanta chasing the American dream, and she graduated from Clark Atlanta University with a business degree.
She took so much pride in being a Clark alum.
But in spite of her soaring ambitions, Tiffany wasn't all work and no play.
While Tiffany was at Clark Atlanta, she regularly hit the city's vibrant club scene with her friends.
She never met a stranger. Everybody loved her.
The nightlife in Atlanta is iconic. If you are a young, hip person looking to go out and have a good time, there is no better place to be.
And during one of her nights out on the town, Tiffany met a charming young DJ named Andre Pugh, who would change her life forever.
Can I make a request?
Anything for you, beautiful.
The two hit it off instantly.
I'm Dre. They call me Andre.
Andre is very charming.
He was very kind of outspoken, very outgoing.
I'm taking you out next Friday.
If you say so.
One date quickly led to another.
I think she just got caught up in the charm. And before she knew it, they were in love.
It didn't take long for the young couple to see that their relationship would be more than a fling.
Soon after they met, the two were dating. And they eventually moved in together.
Tiffany was a young professional climbing the corporate ladder.
Tiffany landed a job at Delta shortly after she graduated.
She was very well known at work. Everyone loved her. She was great at what she did. She went into leadership when she received word that she received the promotion. She was very excited.
At the same time, Andre's career was also on the rise.
Andre, who DJ'd under the name DJ Awesome, became a fixture at Onyx Gentlemen's Club.
Anyone who came to Atlanta, whether it was a Super Bowl, NBA All-Star, they were coming to Onyx before they went anywhere. So it was a big name.
They're iconic when it comes to the rap industry in Atlanta. If you want your music to go big, you've got to get the DJs at Club Onyx to play that.
Though some women might have felt threatened by their husband working at a strip club, that wasn't Tiffany.
She used to come to the club, have some drinks, visit Andre.
I think him inviting her to his space of work kind of helped. She was supportive through it all.
Outside the club, family was a top priority for the couple.
In 2007, they welcomed their daughter and got married soon after. Then in 2012, shortly before welcoming their first son, the two buy a suburban home just on the outskirts of East Point. It was just enough for their growing family, and you can see that they were on their way up.
The parenting styles worked very well when it came to the kids.
Playing that mother role, she made look so easy.
She spent a lot of her time with the kids, very involved in everything that they did. They had tea parties, Christmas cookie parties, just different events at the home. Even when it came down to discipline the kids, she was just, awesome. And Andre was a great father.
I looked at him as a family man.
They had what I viewed as a perfect life.
But now, the Pugh's suburban dream home has become a bloody crime scene.
Tiffany!
It's all turned into a nightmare. Tiffany has been shot.
911, what's your emergency?
It's my wife.
Andre was frantic.
He held on to his youngest son.
As first responders clear the home, the sun comes up over East Point and homicide detectives arrive on the scene. Andre Pugh is the first person they want to speak with.
They gave him a few minutes to compose himself, but then it's immediately, we need to figure out what went down here.
Do you see what happened to your wife?
No, I just got home. I was leaving work when I got an alert from my security system.
The home where the murder happened was equipped with ADT alarm service, and there was a report early that morning.
There was somebody inside the house.
This may have been a home invasion.
Stay tuned for this roller coaster ride, secrets and deceit as we continue.
5 years into their marriage, Tiffany and Andre Pugh were living the American dream.
Tiffany had a good job at Delta.
Andre was one of the top DJs at Onyx. They have 2 kids, a nice home, the perfect life.
But then, on November 23rd, 2014, tragedy strikes.
Andre called police to report his wife, Tiffany, was shot.
No, she's not moving. She's not breathing.
Police arrive and find Tiffany dead.
When homicide detectives speak with Andre, he gives them their first lead.
There was somebody inside the house.
He essentially advised that he got off of work. He was on his way home. He got a call from ADT that there was an alarm call. He called Tiffany, and she didn't answer. He arrived at the house. He went inside. He advised that he saw Tiffany.
Tiffany! Tiffany!
She didn't respond.
He saw blood on her.
Then he ran upstairs, saw the kids sleeping upstairs, and then subsequent to that, Andre Pugh called 911.
Please, send someone now!
To detectives, this sounds like a classic break-in gone wrong.
They thought maybe someone did come in and maybe attempted burglary or something of that nature.
But before detectives can confirm that theory, they need to take stock of the crime scene.
We went inside, saw the bedroom where the murder took place.
Tiffany was in the bed, on her back, and partially covered by a blanket.
She was shot once in the head, once in the torso.
There's a bullet hole in the headboard above her body, but there's no shell casings at the scene, indicating that the shooter either picked them up or used a revolver.
Even though nothing appears to be stolen, Police soon find evidence of forced entry.
So, downstairs, the window, the screen, leads to the backyard. It looks like it's been cut with something sharp like a knife.
Thank you, officer.
Yes, sir.
Typically, that's the sort of thing you're only going to see with a burglary.
Keep in mind that maybe they go in because they want to take things and then they run into someone.
It's possible they thought the house was empty, and when Tiffany surprised them, they panicked and took off without stealing anything.
Given the crime rates in East Point, the theory seems plausible.
As far as crime in the city of East Point, we butt up against one of the largest cities in the country, being Atlanta, and we see everything that Atlanta sees.
The location where they lived was a middle-income area, but certainly they could go right across the street or right down the street and find some things that no middle-class family would want down the street. You can have very, very nice subdivisions next door to trap houses. It's just the reality of the area.
Hoping to turn up potential witnesses, investigators shift their focus to Tiffany and Andre's neighbors.
Unfortunately, no one saw or heard anything.
But police do locate a neighbor who has a security camera aimed at the Pugh's property.
Could this camera have picked up Tiffany's killer?
Back at the station, detectives scroll through the footage and spot a car pulling up outside the Pugh's home around 6 a.m.
Because of the angle, it's impossible to see who's in the car, and the quality of the video is too low for detectives to read the license plate. But they can make out the make of the car and that it has a broken taillight.
Police immediately issue a bolo based on a description of the vehicle. And while they wait for leads to trickle in, detectives meet with Andre again in hopes of gaining more information that could lead them to his wife's killer.
Knowing that he had just lost a loved one, it's very fragile. He was, of course, distraught.
When detectives ask about his relationship with his wife, Andre describes it as a typical marriage with ups and downs.
We loved each other.
It was nothing different than any other marriage.
Andre says he has no idea who would have wanted to hurt Tiffany.
A lot of, I don't know. He couldn't explain as to why.
Maybe it was just some random act of violence.
But then, Andre remembers something.
Unless it has something to do with Nando.
Who's Nando?
He's a DJ I used to work with.
Nando was killed back in January.
Andre seemed to suggest maybe this had something to do with that.
Was someone targeting the DJs at Club Onyx?
Hey!
Police in East Point, Georgia are speaking with Andre Pugh, an Atlanta DJ whose wife Tiffany was shot to death in the couple's home. Andre has just told detectives that he believes his wife's murder could be related to the killing of one of his co-workers.
A fellow DJ who worked at the club was killed back in January. His name was William Fernando Barnes, but everyone knew him as DJ Nando.
DJ Nando, before he was killed, he was the biggest Club Onyx DJ that they had.
Nando was a major player in the Atlanta DJ scene.
He had a big following. A lot of the girls followed him. A lot of the customers also. DJs, rappers, entertainers. He would tell him what was good, what was not.
Over the years, DJ Nando helped launch some of the biggest names in rap, including Gucci Mane, 2 Chainz, and Young Jeezy.
A lot of times, artists and promoters will slip a DJ cash to get their music played.
That amount of cash could range from $100 to upwards of $1,000.
Sometimes that can lead to some hard feelings if they feel like they're not getting their money's worth from the DJ.
What if DJ Nando and Andre made a common enemy at the club?
Perhaps Andre was the killer's target and killed Tiffany by mistake.
Well, we appreciate your time, Andre.
After wrapping up their interview with Andre, investigators begin digging into DJ Nando's unsolved murder.
They wanted to see if there were any other similarities to Tiffany's murder.
On the morning of January 14th, 10 months before Tiffany was killed, it was about 3:30 a.m. when Nando pulled into the driveway of his Clayton County home. And as soon as he steps out of his car, someone steps out of the shadows
Someone came up and they just shot him in the head.
From the beginning, there were no real leads.
The only clue left behind was a shell casing.
But police quickly ruled out one possible motive.
When he was found, there were still thousands of dollars in equipment left in Nando's car, so it definitely didn't look like a robbery.
Now, with Tiffany's murder potentially connected to the club, detectives fear this killing may not be the last.
If this was an act of revenge, there could be more DJs on the killer's list.
And that wasn't the only sinister possibility detectives considered.
A lot of times, there can be some pretty nefarious stuff going on in the nightclub scene. Drugs, money laundering, prostitution, you name it. And so you have to wonder if maybe Nando and Andre had gotten mixed up in something like that.
As rumors swirl about a possible connection between the two murders, a wave of fear washes over Club Onyx.
The club took a big hit. A lot of girls quit, not knowing what happened, not knowing who did it.
It wasn't just Onyx. This cast a pall over the entire Atlanta nightlife scene.
A lot of customers started saying there was a dark cloud. A lot of the girls was like, Onyx is cursed.
But was there any real connection between the two cases?
With a little more digging, police hope to uncover something.
Meanwhile, 5 days after Tiffany's death, her loved ones gather to mourn their loss.
The service was beautiful.
Tiffany's entire family came in from out of state. They were inconsolable.
It was a very, very packed service. A lot of people knew her. Everybody loved her. It was not a dry eye in the room. And I remembered when they wanted to open it up for comments, I moved to the edge of my seat because I wanted to say something, but I couldn't move. And I just sat there and I just said a prayer because I just couldn't believe it. You think, wow, how could it be so tragic? And with her children in the same house.
The day after the funeral, detectives visit Tiffany's family and close friends to offer their condolences.
We are so sorry for your loss. We're gonna do everything we can to figure out what happened.
And while they're talking, Tiffany's loved ones disclose a revelation that could turn the entire case on its head.
Have you all talked to Andre?
They did not like Andre. Not at all.
This DJ wasn't very highly held in the family and friend circuit.
According to Tiffany's family, she was planning to divorce Andre.
Every now and then.
Leave, just leave.
Whatever.
Stay tuned for this roller coaster ride, secrets and deceit as we continue.
Police in East Point, Georgia suspect that Tiffany Pugh's murder could be linked to the killing of DJ Nando, who worked at the same club as her husband, Andre.
10 months before Tiffany was killed, Nando was gunned down outside of his suburban home. Perhaps Andre was the killer's target and killed Tiffany by mistake.
We are so sorry for your loss.
However, thanks to a conversation with Tiffany's friends and family, a new possibility has come to light.
In interviewing family members about Andre and the relationship, nobody liked Andre.
They said Tiffany was planning to divorce Andre.
According to Tiffany's loved ones, the couple had grown apart due to differences in their lifestyles.
They were young when they first got together, and their lives had taken very different paths. Tiffany was very grounded, had a good career. Andre, on the other hand, just wanted to party and be DJ awesome in the clubs.
Tiffany's friends and family say they initially thought the couple's separation was both civil and mutual.
They talked about co-parenting. Tiffany felt real great about the conversation that they had. He made her feel that everything was gonna be good.
But these revelations give detectives pause.
Andre essentially told the police that he was married to Tiffany.
You know, the happy couple.
He didn't mention that they had any plans to get divorced, that they had problems.
Was Andre trying to hide something? Tiffany's loved ones provide even more insight into her and Andre's relationship.
It was pretty toxic.
She was unhappy. It was an unhealthy marriage.
There was never signs of physical abuse, but verbal abuse was present in the relationship. Andre would say things that were negative or derogatory about her.
Friends say Andre would always tear his wife down instead of building her up.
You wouldn't believe the things he said to her.
If there was something that Tiffany did he didn't like, he would, kind of express it in a frustrating way. And it wasn't just one occasion, it was kind of often.
What are you doing?
I'm cooking.
Tiffany, a lot of the times, would want to create like a home family environment, would cook meals and things like that. And then Andre was kind of a jerk.
Cooking for what? We already ate.
What do you mean you already ate?
I took the kids out to dinner.
Knowing that Tiffany had prepared a meal for the family, he'd come home after having stopped at Chick-fil-A and having fed the kids, and it's like, oh, we already ate.
If you know I'm gonna feed you guys, just wait, be patient.
You don't tell me to be patient. I've been patient.
Andre also seemed to feel threatened by his wife's success.
He was struggling at Onyx. He kind of lost some days. She was excelling. When she received the promotion for commodity manager, he wasn't as supportive. There was really no congratulatory messages or anything to celebrate her success.
He'd stay out all night partying with his friends, then come home, sleep, and then do it all over again. To the point where the couple barely saw each other.
I'm done.
Don't be done. Just be done cooking.
But friends say it was something else Andre was doing that drove Tiffany past her breaking point.
Andre had cheated on her throughout their entire relationship.
It's something they had addressed in the past, but recently Andre had almost been rubbing it in her face.
He's ordering prostitutes while she's out of town.
Bringing women to their home.
It was blatant disrespect.
And it was all the more insulting because Tiffany was essentially funding Andre's indiscretions.
Andre had got into trying to live the lifestyle he couldn't afford.
He wasn't providing anymore. He was blowing all of his money on partying and strippers.
Thank you so much for the information. We will get to the bottom of this.
And when investigators start looking deeper into Andre, they discover another potential motive for him to have a vendetta against his wife.
Andre was in a lot of trouble financially.
When Tiffany and Andre married, they initially lived in a house in the city of Atlanta, and the house was in Andre Pugh's name. He let that house go into foreclosure, and it essentially destroyed his credit.
Tiffany was pretty much the only thing keeping him afloat, and now she was leaving him.
To learn more, police pull the couple's phone records, and their text messages tell the whole story.
At first, they seemed to indicate that Andre wanted to separate from her. There's all these side text messages. He's cheating on Tiffany with 7 or 8 different women, and it's clear that he desired to pursue that sort of lifestyle and didn't want to be tied to a marriage.
However, Andre depended on Tiffany for the flashy lifestyle he loved to portray.
When they bought the house on Lake Haven Way, where the murder took place, Andre's name wasn't on the mortgage because he didn't have the credit as a co-signer.
He was obviously concerned about what would happen once they separated, so he proposed keeping the house and adding his name to the mortgage.
But Tiffany didn't want him to do that because if he failed to pay, then obviously her credit would be ruined.
Once Tiffany told Andre that she planned to sell the house, his tune about the separation suddenly changed.
He was pressing Tiffany harder and harder to just stay with him. The big question became, well, why did you do that?
Detectives suspect it all boiled down to money.
DJ Awesome liked to flex for all these different women that he was pursuing. He would send them pictures of the house. He would tell them how many rooms in the house there were, because it was a fairly sizable house. He was making it seem like it was all his, but in reality, it was Tiffany that was the breadwinner of the home.
Once he realized he wouldn't be able to keep the house and continue his lifestyle without Tiffany, he panicked.
But Tiffany refused to back down.
She had sent him several very strongly worded messages that every time you act like you need me, it's only when you think I'm gonna leave you, and your behavior is just getting bolder and bolder every time. You're disrespecting me, you talk to me any kind of way, like I'm done.
Tiffany was leaving after Thanksgiving. She had made it clear to him.
But something else in the couple's phone records poses a major obstacle for the investigation.
Andre had an obvious motive, but then cell tower records put him in another part of the city at the time of the crime. He was miles away when Tiffany was killed.
But what if Andre hadn't acted alone?
During this time, we're comparing evidence, Andre Pugh's contacts, and we noticed some phone numbers that he's talking to.
Shortly before and after the murder, Andre was on the phone with somebody.
Who was he talking to? And more importantly, what were they talking about?
Stay tuned for this roller coaster ride, secrets and deceit as we continue.
Detectives investigating the murder of Tiffany Pugh have learned that her husband, Andre, had a motive to commit the crime.
There were financial issues. She had told him she wanted a divorce.
Now, phone records have shown that Andre was on the phone with someone right before and after his wife's murder.
Police knew Andre couldn't have killed Tiffany himself, but did he work with someone else to orchestrate the murder?
When police run the phone number, they learn that it belongs to a man named Damon Hunt.
Andre and Damon Hunt go way back. They were best friends.
He was the best man at Andre's wedding. He attended Tiffany's funeral.
He was actually a pallbearer.
Andre had even secured Damon a job at Club Onyx.
He was Andre's money counter. In the strip club, customers tip the girls in ones, and a lot of customers come to the DJ booth to switch out big bills. Every DJ would bring someone in to help them.
But could Damon also be a killer?
Police decided to run a background check on Damon to see if he's ever been involved in anything like this before.
There was nothing that indicated that he had done anything remotely like this in the past.
And yet, when they pull his cell phone records, it looks like he had the opportunity to commit this crime.
Around the time of the murder, his cell phone was using a cell phone tower that provided service to the scene of the crime.
The phone records also reveal evidence of a meeting between Andre and Damon just before the murder.
They both left Club Onyx in the early morning hours, but they didn't go their separate ways.
Their cell phone records put them in the same area near the Varsity in downtown Atlanta at the same time.
While the reason for the meeting is a mystery, it's proof that Andre lied to the police during his interview.
He told the detectives that he was leaving Onyx when he got the alert from the home security system, but he never mentioned anything about meeting up with Damon Hunt. Why not?
And when they pull Damon's DMV records, police zero in on more evidence that could place him at the crime scene.
Video surveillance captured the vehicle that was suspected to be the murderer driving through the neighborhood.
The vehicle was consistent with the type of vehicle Damon Hunt drove.
Now convinced that Andre and Damon conspired to kill Tiffany, detectives move quickly.
I called the district attorney's office that night, and I gave him the overall synopsis.
The case wasn't bulletproof, but the detective's biggest concern was Andre's children, who were still living with him.
I said, look, these kids are in danger. He said, get the warrants.
That night, police obtained warrants for the arrests of Andre Pugh and Damon Hunt.
We found out DJ Andre Pugh was at work, and we met with the Atlanta Police Department's fugitive squad. We set up on the outside of Club Onyx, and the decision was made out of safety and abundance of caution to where we didn't want to try to take him into custody with a full establishment.
There's always a concern when you're about to make an arrest of somebody, especially for a capital offense like murder that carries such a heavy penalty, that someone could act out of desperation, either flee, commit violence against another person, or commit violence against themselves.
Despite the detectives' caution, inside Club Onyx, there are already rumblings that something is about to go down.
All the unmarked cars keep going down the street one by one, and one's parked across the street. Andre's close friend came in and said something to Andre.
Yo, a bunch of cops just pulled up, man.
And Andre immediately went to the trash can and started vomiting.
Hell no.
Soon thereafter, Damon left the club. But police wait until closing to swarm in and take Andre into custody.
Go, 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 go.
Sheriff's Department, stay right where you're at.
He was ultimately taken to the East Point Police Department.
Damon Hunt is also apprehended that night.
He was taken into custody in Alpharetta at his home a little while later.
For Andre's colleagues at Club Onyx, the arrest comes as a total shock.
We never saw it coming. I would have never suspected that Andre would do something as heinous as have his wife murdered with his children there. I never thought I was working next to a psychopath.
Tiffany's friends and family also struggled to comprehend how Andre could have gone so far.
Andre set it up. Andre was in on it. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it.
My initial reaction was a sense of disappointment and thinking about the kids, because now they have lost a mom. They've lost a father.
But is Andre really guilty?
He subsequently asked to talk to the police.
In an interrogation room, Andre tells investigators they have it all wrong.
According to Andre, Damon acted alone.
Andre tells them that Damon had walked up to him in the club earlier that night and told him something that floored him.
He said, "I killed your wife. It was me."
Stay tuned for this roller coaster ride, secrets and deceit as we continue.
Police in the Atlanta suburb of East Point, Georgia, have arrested Andre Pugh and Damon Hunt for the murder of Andre's wife, Tiffany.
They're both charged with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime.
But according to Andre, the detectives have it all wrong.
Andre said that shortly before his arrest, Damon told him something shocking.
Andre said he came up to him while he was working and said, "I killed your wife. It was me. And I did it because she owed me money."
He told me right to my face.
But detectives aren't convinced.
If that's true, why didn't you report him right away?
I just couldn't believe it.
He said he decided to marinate on this until his shift was over. And then he was going to call the police afterwards. But they just came and arrested him before he had the opportunity to tell them.
To detectives, Andre's story is nonsense.
My overall assessment of Andre Pugh is pure narcissist, that I'm the smartest person in the room, and I'm going to tell you a lot of things, and you're going to believe them.
The detectives suspect Andre is just trying to throw Damon under the bus,
which detectives hope to use as leverage to get Damon to turn on Andre.
But when Damon hears that Andre turned on him, he doesn't flinch. He just says, "I wasn't involved."
Hey!
As the case moves to trial, new rumors swirl that Andre and Damon also killed DJ Nando.
No one ever suspected Andre until you had your wife murdered with your kids there.
But in retrospect, Andre had a motive.
There was a lot of jealousy, a lot of competition at the club they worked at.
Andre was envious of DJ Nando's position at the club.
DJ Nando was a better DJ, hands down. They're coming to the club to see DJ Nando. They love to hear his music. He moved to the better nights.
According to everyone involved at Club Onyx, Andre wanted that limelight. He wanted that notoriety. And then, of course, DJ Nando was killed. I was told that DJ's body was not cold in the grave before Andre was calling wanting DJ Nando's night.
And if Andre was behind the murder, could he have convinced Damon Hunt to help him pull it off?
Hey, you're my buddy. You're my buddy. If I get Nando's spot, we gonna be rich. hey man, do this, and I'm telling you, you're gonna be my boy in the booth.
Investigators are never able to prove that Andre Pugh was behind the shooting of DJ Nando. But on September 21st, 2018, he stands trial for Tiffany's murder. In their opening statements, the prosecution portrays Andre as a man obsessed with fame, power, and money.
It was very important to Andre to maintain a certain image, and in order to maintain that image, he had to project to other people that he was somebody. With his home theater system and his 14-room house,
he was using Tiffany to fund his lavish lifestyle, and all he cared about was that the cash kept coming.
Once he realized he wasn't going to be able to maintain that lifestyle without her, his solution was to kill her and take the marital estate. And that was just one of the most twisted things that I've seen in 18 years of prosecution in Atlanta.
Prosecutors assert that Andre enlisted his best friend Damon to do his dirty work.
And if you're planning to murder your wife, you need to have an alibi. That's what the state's theory was with respect to why Andre chose another person to commit the murder.
Prosecutors believe Damon Hunt became involved for his own selfish reasons.
With Andre inheriting the marital estate upon Tiffany's death, there would have been something to compensate him with on the back end. But exactly what that was, we'll never know.
Prosecutors lay out their theory of how the murder went down.
While Andre drove around to create an alibi, Damon snuck into the house.
But things didn't go exactly according to plan.
Andre never expected the alarm system to activate. They weren't going to break any glass. They were going to go through a window. Didn't realize that Tiffany had set the alarm.
As soon as the alarm detected motion, it went off. But that didn't stop Damon from finishing the job.
He went to her bedroom and shot her while she was in bed.
When it's the defense's turn, they stick to Andre's claims of innocence.
The defense argues that Damon Hunt just decided to do this on his own, and that the prosecution had failed to prove that Andre had put him up to it.
From my perspective, the only reason he would have done this is because Andre Pugh put him up to it.
But with only circumstantial evidence against Andre, it's a compelling argument for the jury to consider.
The jurors deliberated for quite a while. It was clear that they were diligently taking their time to go through the evidence.
Knowing that he was not the trigger man, we were on edge the whole time, not knowing what that outcome would be.
When the jury finally files back into the courtroom, everyone is waiting with bated breath.
They had a verdict, and it was guilty on all charges.
When the jury said guilty, it was such a relief to hear those words. It's just unimaginable that someone who witnessed how caring and loving of a person Tiffany was and how much her kids adored her, that you would just want to take someone's life other than just walking away.
The judge gave Andre Pugh life without parole. Andre got everything that he deserved.
Today, Damon Hunt, Andre's co-defendant, has yet to stand trial.
We're waiting for his day in court.
My case is so strong on the shooter.
There's no winner. You know, the kids lost both their parents.
Your hearts just went out for them. What does their future look like?
I'm up at night still sometimes hoping that they have a great life, that they remember their mother for the great person she was. There was nothing bad about Tiffany Jackson. Nothing. She didn't deserve this.
We started the Tiffany Jackson Pugh Scholarship on behalf of her to the students at Clark Atlanta. That is a way to sustain her legacy. And hopefully one day I can tell this story to her children, that your mom has a scholarship named in her honor because of her excellence, her servant attitude, and just her willingness to want more out of life.
Marriage is often viewed as a union between two people, a relationship built on love and trust. Recognizing that partners and predators can be interchangeable and sometimes hidden in disguise is extremely important. Tiffany Jackson Pugh, a beloved and celebrated mother, will be cherished in the hearts of her loved ones.
Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available. Call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.
Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
She was the head cheerleader.
What's up, baby?
And he was a star football player.
It's a classic high school love story. This beautiful cheerleader and this handsome jock at the top of their league.
It was like a budding storybook romance.
But there would be no happily ever after.
My daughter, I can't find her.
Something wasn't right.
A young woman from Texas has gone missing, leaving her family in a state of distress and uncertainty. What happens when love turns fatal? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.